Something huge is happening right now, but it's not making a lot of noise. There's no big announcement. It's happening in the quiet hum of servers and lines of code being written as we speak. Our digital world, it's being rebuilt from the ground up by a whole new set of architects. And that should make all of us ask a really important question.
So that's the big question, right? As this new foundation for our online lives gets poured, who's actually in charge? Who is writing the new rules of the road? Because, let's be real, the answer to that is going to define how we live, work, and connect for decades to come.
So to get some answers, we're going to look at 3 really fascinating experiments that are happening right now. Think of them as clues, little snapshots from a potential future that show us how we might compute, how we might shop, and maybe most importantly, how we're going to trust each other online.
All right, let's dive into our first snapshot. This one takes us straight into the belly of the beast, the AI revolution. And specifically, it's about the one thing AI needs more than anything else: raw computing power. Okay, so the problem is pretty straightforward. Building these powerful AIs that are changing everything, it takes a ridiculous amount of computer power. We're talking massive, expensive server farms. And that creates this huge wall, right? It basically means only a few giant tech companies can afford to play the game.
Now, to get how they're trying to solve this, you need to understand this one key idea. It's called fine-tuning. The best way to think about it is like this. You take a super smart general AI and you send it to a specialized school. You feed it a very specific diet of data, say a ton of customer service chats, and it comes out as an expert in just that one thing. So here's what a project called NuNet actually did. They took a model, fed it that specialized customer service data, but then they did something really clever. They used a trick called 4-bit quantization. Just think of it like zipping a giant file. It shrinks the AI model way down so it can run on hardware that's, well, a lot less powerful.
And the result? Honestly, it's pretty incredible. They got this whole advanced AI training process to run on a machine with just 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, to be clear, that's a pretty beefy gaming PC, but compared to the massive server farms big corporations use, it's like a rowboat next to an aircraft carrier, a tiny fraction of the power.
And that is where their big idea comes in. NuNet's solution is to build this decentralized global network. The Airbnb for computing power analogy is spot on. Instead of your spare bedroom, you're renting out your computer's idle horsepower. And if that works, wow, it could completely change the game, making AI development something anyone, anywhere can do. Okay, let's shift gears to our second snapshot. So if the first one was about who gets to build the tech, this next one is all about how we use it, specifically when it comes to how we shop online.
You know how online shopping usually works, right? There's a schedule. A new product drops at 9 a.m. A sale lasts for 48 hours. It's all very predictable. Well, a gaming marketplace called Infinity Rising is throwing that entire playbook out the window. What they're trying is basically planned chaos.
Yeah, this quote from their team really says it all. No schedules, no heads up. An item could pop up for sale, and then, poof, it's gone. Could be minutes, could be days. You just don't know. The whole point is to create this feeling that you have to be paying attention or you're going to miss out. And this isn't just some idea they're talking about. They are actively doing it. They've been releasing all sorts of items like this gift-wrapped cargo pack or the whole Crimson Claws outfit using exactly this random method. It really forces players to be on their toes and grab stuff the second they see it.
So you gotta ask, why on earth would they do this? Well, it's one giant experiment. See, when you get rid of all the predictable schedules, the data you get on what people actually want and when they want it is much cleaner. They're basically using chaos to figure out the perfect formula for future online sales.
All right, for our third and final snapshot, we're tackling what might be the biggest question of them all. In a world full of AI, how do we know what's real anymore? How in the world do we build a new system for trust? This quote from a project called Newcast just nails the problem. AIs learn from the internet, right? But what happens when the internet is flooded with stuff other AIs made? The AIs start learning from themselves. It creates this weird, distorted feedback loop, like a copy of a copy of a copy that could just supercharge misinformation and make a total mess of who owns what.
So the solution they're proposing is based on some pretty advanced tech called ZK-based content stamping. ZK stands for zero knowledge, but don't worry about that part. Just think of it like a digital notary for the internet. It's a way to stamp a piece of content and mathematically prove who made it and when they made it. And here's the coolest part. It can do all that without ever having to see the content itself.
So it's verification that respects privacy.
And for a creator, the process would be super simple. Step 1, you register your work. Step 2, you verify you own it. And then, step 3, you get to decide if you want to license that legit, verified, human-made data to AI companies so they can train their models on real stuff.
So what this really is a total shift in strategy. Instead of playing whack-a-mole trying to spot fakes after they're already out there, the idea is to prove what's real right from the very beginning, at the source. This could create a fundamental layer of trust for the web, making sure that future AIs are learning from high-quality, verified human data.
Okay, so we've seen 3 pretty different experiments, right? One for computing power, one for online shopping, and one for online trust. They might seem separate, but let's zoom out and connect the dots, because there's a really big picture taking shape here.
So here it is, all laid out. With computation, NuNet is breaking up centralized power. With commerce, Infinity Rising is using randomness to understand us better. And with trust, Newcast is building a way to prove what's real. See the pattern? Nobody here is just tweaking the old system. They are all writing completely new rulebooks from the ground up.
And that's the key takeaway. These aren't just software updates. These are brand new social systems, new economic models being coded directly into the foundation of our future. And that leaves us with a really big and, frankly, really important question to think about. In a world that's being built on code, what part are we going to play in writing it?